I am here advocating for the rights and freedom of Miss Karen Adams, K-A-R-E-N Adams, pronounced Karen. This is her property here, this yellow house. It's a $2 million property in North Fitzroy, the corner of Freeman Street and Ray Street. This is her property, and she is currently forcibly locked up and drugged in Riverside House, which is a facility of St Vincent's Hospital in Richmond. It's a psychiatric facility. She's forcibly locked up, forcibly drugged. That's been done by her 2 sons and the medical people involved. We believe that they're trying to get hold of this house, and that's why they're doing it. And a friend of hers in the public contacted me, obviously of serious concern, so this is why I'm making this video again, for the freedom of Karen Adams, who's currently locked up. I visited the facility today, Thursday, the 11th of October, with her friend, and that's Riverside House we went to in Richmond. We visited the facility. I went through the front security section. It's an aged care facility. It's an aged care psychiatric facility, what they call mental health, but it's all psychiatric facility funded by the government. And you can't get out of the front entrance. You can't get in the front entrance, the staff let you in. You can't get out of the front entrance, the staff have to let you out. And the lady was right there in the foyer, and Karen Adams, and she came towards me straight away. I'd have never met her before, and she wanted to leave with me. She definitely wanted to leave. She was there against her will, and she's being forcibly drugged. She came straight towards me. It was like a divine thing. She came straight towards me, and I actually turned to try to go out the door to take her out with me, and we couldn't get out of the security section at the front. Now this is absolutely disgusting and appalling, and she's locked up there, and there's other people, elderly people locked up there by force. They're all being drugged. She definitely wanted to leave. I want to make that clear. She does not want to be there. She tried to walk out of the facility with me. So I'm going to make a big fuss about this facility, Riverside House. I was in there, and at the front door I took a few photos of posters on the wall. One of them was an elderly rights advocacy poster. Another was a mission statement about the hospital service, which purports to, promote the work of God and Jesus and work of love, openness and compassion, and there to help people, but that's not what it's been used for, okay? I'm not just picking on this facility, I'm picking on facilities all across the country that are taking government money to do this. So the staff there, I want to point out that the main psychiatric nurse or doctor or whoever it was, most of them are foreigners. He looked like a Chinese psychiatric drugger. And he came to the door and he was very threatening towards me. I just took a few pictures of their mission statement. This is the St Vincent's Hospital Psychiatric Facility, Riverside House in Richmond. I was reading the mission statement and the elderly rights advocacy, and I just took a couple of pictures of the posters, and because I told him I was there from the community, just looking at the facility for other people in the community, which is true. And then he proceeded to say you can't take photos, and it's like, why? You've got these posters up here, so of course I should be able to take a photo. I'm a member of the public, and I'm coming here to inspect your facility to see what it's like for people outside telling me something about it. And he was very threatening. He was standing there like this, like a Chinese communist Nazi, basically standing there like a bodyguard, a bouncer. And he was just basically pushing me out the door pretty much. You could tell that he wanted me to leave, and da-da-da. And then all the other staff started gathering around the door. And of course, these places are so dangerous because of the staff. You have to get out of there because they can lock you in. So this has to be shut down. This facility, these people need freedom, not just Karen Adams. I want freedom for all the people locked up there drugged. They're all elderly people, vulnerable. And that's another thing. They said in the mission statement that they care for the poor and vulnerable. Well, you're drugging people to death in places like that, so you're not caring for the poor and vulnerable, you're killing them off for the government. You're getting paid to do it. So a lot of these foreigners brought here, working in these places, taking what I call blood money, government blood money, to lock up our own people, drug them to death, and they can't get out. She obviously didn't want to be there, okay? And her two sons, having her locked up with the medical people, trying to get hold of her $2 million property. This is her home. Her two sons have her forcibly locked up and drugged. They're trying to get hold of the house, we believe. It's just huge injustice. It's obviously criminal what they're doing with the government people and the management of St Vincent's Hospital, Riverside House. Okay, Normanby House in Kew. We're at Normanby House in Kew, which is a psychiatric unit of St Vincent's Hospital, where Karen Adams was put for 3 to 4 months from the Geriatric assessment unit at St George's Hospital, which is associated with St Vincent's Hospital in Kew. She was put there, and then she walked out of that facility. She walked out of the Geriatric assessment unit facility because she did not want to be there. She went to the bus stop across the road. The staff followed her out, got her, and brought her to this psychiatric facility, which is right near the building. It's we don't know how many bed facility. The whole site is between 100 beds and 199 beds. They're also building a new 90 bed facility here. We don't know how many people they've got forcibly locked up at the moment, but Karen Adams was locked up here between 3 to 4 months by force from the government medical people and her two sons. She was not allowed to leave. You cannot get in and out of these buildings. The public can't get in and out of these buildings. They've got security on the door to get in the building and out of the building. Only the staff are controlling the actual building, the facility, so the people forcibly locked up there, they cannot come and go, which is the same as a prison. These are death camps because what they're doing is they're forcibly injecting or by oral psychiatric drugs into the people they've got locked up. They do this all over the world, governments, and they have to be shut down. So I'm advocating for the rights and freedom of Karen Adams, who was locked up in this facility. She was then transferred. She was locked up here for 3 to 4 months. She was transferred to Riverside House in Richmond, which she currently is now, been for about a month, and we're trying to get her out of that facility. Her friend contacted me to come and get her out of the facility. She does not want to be there. She did not want to be here. She walked out of this geriatric assessment unit of her own free will. She's of sound mind, and regardless if she's of sound mind or not, you don't have a right to lock people up by force and drug them by force in any facility. Who does that? The people doing that, they're crazy and they're violent. Okay? Now, for the politicians to do this using government workers and billions of dollars of public money to lock people up by force, drug them by force, is violent and evil. These people have a right to come and go as they wish. Every human does as a human rights issue. So these people need freedom and they need rights to be able to leave of their own free will. As I said, she's got a $2 million property in North Fitzroy. That's her home, which the government's trying to get hold of, and her two sons are trying to get hold of. That's why they've got her locked up. So I'm saying to the two sons, get your mother out of that facility, Riverside House in Richmond. Get her out of that facility or I'll publicly name you. I've got your names. How dare you lock up your mother? She's the woman that gave birth to you. If it wasn't for you, you wouldn't even have life. And then you go and lock up your mother, or for anybody to lock up a relative like that is absolutely disgusting. To lock up a relative or even a friend like that by force, drugged by force, they cannot come and go, is a human rights abuse. It's a death camp. It's a death sentence. And all the public research proves that they die younger than the general population, that they die very quickly when they go into these places. We are fighting for her very life. That's a fact. Okay, these places have to be shut down, such as Normanby House in Kew, associated with St George's Hospital and St Vincent's Hospital, and Riverside House in Richmond. They have to be shut down. You cannot put people here by force, violently, and drug them to death. And all the research, even the government's own death data reports published in 2017 prove that they are killing people with psychiatric drugs. It is a fact. So let her out. We want freedom for this lady, Karen Adams. You must free her and allow her to live in her own home where she wants to be. And the other people that you've got locked up in this facility, in Normanby House and Riverside House, St Vincent's Hospital, they have to be freed, and I'll fight forever to have them shut down, because you cannot do this to people and continue to get government funding and keep locking people up where they die, and then you go and steal their assets. Yeah, it's disgusting.
I'll do
So
it now.
Karen Adams,
I'll do it now.
she walked across to that bus stop here. You can just zoom around. She walked out of that entrance from the geriatric assessment unit of her own free will. She walked out across the street, bus stop, to get on the bus to go home, or the tram to go home, and the staff came across and grabbed her and put her in that psych facility, St George's, that Normanby House. Now that is completely evil, and they kept her there for 3 months. She was lied to. They said that she was going in for a bowel assessment of her bowel, and then she was put in a geriatric assessment unit to be shipped off to a psych facility, death factory, and then shipped off to the other one, Riverside House in Richmond, where she is now currently there for a month. So that's about 5 months they've had her locked up, drugged, but she's got a $2 million home, which the government's trying to get hold of, and the 2 sons. I will name you if you don't get your mother out of that facility. So I have got your names from the friend that has contacted me to get her out of that facility. And the other people in the facility, the Normanby House, we've just been told by the administrator, they've a 20-bed facility. They've got up to 20 people locked up there, drugged, elderly people. And at the Riverside House in Richmond, they've got a 30-bed facility where she currently is, 30 people locked up and drugged. All associated with St Vincent's Hospital, CEOs of that hospital, St Vincent's Hospital in Fitzroy. I am going to email you. My video is going to be emailed to you. You'll be watching this video. It's going up for the public. I'm going to fight to have this Normanby House shut down, and I'm going to fight for Riverside House to be shut down. And all the human rights abuses that you are guilty of by having these people locked up and drugged against their will by your crazy, violent, government-funded psychiatrists, and purporting to do the work of God and Jesus, which this hospital was started by, St Vincent's Hospital was started by the Sisters of Charity. It was called the Sisters of Charity Health Service in 1912, and you have still got on your website your vision and mission statement saying that you are doing God's work for the love of God and Jesus on your mission statement and vision statement everywhere on your hospital signs and your website. But you're drugging people to death. You're using these holy people of the past, their names, well, they did good works helping people, and you're still using their names.
Karen said it was evil.
Using their names and saying it's God's work, God and Jesus' work, the love of God and Jesus. I'm doing the work of the love of God and Jesus by exposing you to stop you forcibly locking people up and drugging them under your synthetic psychiatric drugs, poisoning people with those drugs.
Advertising psychiatric mushrooms.
And the new program you have, St Vincent's, the magic mushrooms, which you admit on your website are made of synthetic psychiatric drugs, and you call them magic mushrooms. So you're making up all these cushy, nebulous, erroneous terms again to make it trying to sound attractive.
In a modern time.
But all you're doing is drugging people to death with psychiatric drugs. You should be given magic mushrooms. You should be locked up and drugged by force under the psychiatric system. You people doing it, all you politicians, all you government workers, all you so-called medical criminals, and all your family members of these people locking up your relatives by force and drugging them under the government psychiatric system is violent, is evil, and you should be locked up and had it done to you so you can see how violent and dangerous it is and see how long you last. Because if the public locked you up and drugged you with the same type of drugs that you're drugging people, you'd be dead in a week. I guarantee it. Okay, here we are at Riverside House in Richmond. This is where Karen, friend's just going to film me talking. This is the facility. We came here last Thursday, the 10th of October. You cannot get in and out of this facility. It's locked on the outside and it's locked on the inside. The people locked on the inside, it's a 30-bed facility that belongs to St Vincent Hospital. It's a psychiatric facility. She's forcibly held against her will. She cannot get in the building and she cannot get out of the building. We went there Thursday for about 10 minutes and took some photos inside. Karen, her name is spelled K-A-R-E-N, but you pronounce K-A-A-R-E-N. Karen was in the foyer area. She was right there when we walked in, and the friend, she recognised the friend because I was with her friend. She didn't even know who I was, but she could see that I was there to help. So when I walked in, I signalled for her to walk out with me. We were going to try and walk her out, and she came straight to me to walk out of this facility. Now, I haven't even met this woman, and I can tell straight away from that she wants freedom. She does not want to be here, apart from what her friend has said. She is here against her will. She's been forcibly locked up and forcibly drugged by the two sons and the government medical people. So she has a $2 million property, as we said, in North Fitzroy, Ray Street, and she wants to be at home. Okay, this is a 30-bed facility, which means they've got up to potentially 30 people locked up here. It's aged care, locked up against their will, and they're all being drugged. It's all under the psychiatric system, St Vincent's Hospital. So this should be closed down. Facilities like this should be closed down. Australian politicians and the government workers have been doing this for over 100 years. Nobody has a right to lock any human up, another human being, anywhere on the planet like this, by force, against their will, and forcibly drugged. That's a death sentence. This is like a death camp, okay? Mostly foreigners when we walked in, running the place too, getting big money from the government to do this to Australians. That is disgusting. And I want to make it clear that the people inside cannot freely walk in and out of the building. There is a security code on the door, and also members of the public cannot freely walk in and out of the building. So we could not walk in. It had to be uncoded, unlocked to walk in, and then when we were in, it was locked. We could not just walk out either. They had to put in the code for us to get out. So that's dangerous for members of the public. Anyway, like a prison, you walk into a facility and you're locked into the facility. This is supposed to be a health centre. This is not health practice, where the people in the facility by force, 30 people in this case, are there by force. They cannot get in and out of the building. Now you try to tell me that is a health practice. That is not a legitimate health practice. You might try to say this is for their own good and some people are dangerous and blah blah blah. The people who are dangerous in this situation are the people funding this facility, the political people funding it, the medical people running it to be keeping people locked in against their will and drugged, and the family members and friends locking people up by force in these places. Who are the family members and friends of people out there in society locking up their family members, relatives and friends in these places by force and drugging them? Who the hell do you think you are doing that to people? And this is over a $2 million property, because I've seen the house myself. That's what they want. The medical people want the property, stealing from the woman concerned, and the two sons want the house. Put mum in the facility, get the $2 million house. I know exactly what's going on here. And they've got no freedom, no rights, no hope. It's disgusting. This sort of thing has to stop. And I'll be emailing the CEOs, the board of St Vincent's Hospital, and anybody else that I have to email this video to get you to free these people, stop funding this violent shit against the vulnerable, and give these people back their freedom and their rights and their dignity to live where they want to live and be treated the way they want to be treated. And I don't care what the public and the government thinks anymore. What I care about is the people locked up in places like this, who've got no rights and who want people like me and other people to advocate for their rights and their freedom. This is why the friend has come to me. What a great friend. What a good friend to have when you've got someone locked up like this. And to the relatives of the people out there who've got your relatives locked up, come and get them out. Fight for their rights, fight for their freedom. How dare you have people locked up like this? You are destroying their human dignity, their basic rights, human rights, and it's just a violent process to do this to people, isn't it? Isn't it disgusting? How would you like it done to you? How would you like me to come along and lock you up like this, you drug you, deprive you of your liberty, which should be happening to all the political people and the medical people behind it, and all the relatives who lock up their relatives in these places. You should be locked up, and you should be locked up and drugged. And I guarantee within a week, you're gonna want to have it shut down as well. They've been doing this for over 100 years in Australia. How many people have they killed? Oh, I tell you what, they've killed a lot of people by this. Because all the research proves that when you lock people up in these places and drug them, they all die faster. They all die faster, but they're drugged to death with the drugs, the psych drugs. It's sick, and it's done for power and money. And that's what it's done for. So I'm going to continue until this is shut down. Riverside House and the other place, disgusting place, Normanby House, and all these places that they have in Australia, all across Australia, as I've been publicly saying, you have to stop this violent government practice, stop funding it, shut these places down, let people live where they want to live, and stop trying to control people and their lives and their freedom and their money. Thank you.